October 17th, 1781. Hey, England. We won. I'm sure you won't be bitter about it. Cornwallis was, but he might have really been ill. 1931. Capone finds himself indicted for income tax evasion of all things, which will result in his utter loss of power via a combination of Elliot Ness, Alcatraz, and neurosyphilis. 1945. The General Confederation of Labor and Evita had a sizable gathering in the Plaza del Mayo to demand Juan Perón's release. My research seems to indicate that there was music composed by Andrew Lloyd Webber. October 18th, 1685, Louis XIV of France revoked the Edict of Nantes, wow that rhymed, destroying whatever semblance of religious tolerance France had. But don't worry, this is completely different from what Spain did, because this time they're Huguenots, so they'll just convert. 1851, Herman Melville's The Whale, aka Moby Dick, has its London publication. I actually haven't read it, but as far as critics at the time are concerned, that's probably the best course of action. October 19th, 202 BC, Hannibal went to a lot of trouble to fight the Romans in Italy, but if Scipio wants to fight in Africa, fine. 1864, Confederate cavalrymen raid the Vermont town of St. Albans in the northernmost land action of the Civil War. This might be geographically perplexing until you remember that the province of Canada was neutral. 1935, the League of Nations wholeheartedly displays its inefficacy by responding to Italy's invasion of Ethiopia with economic sanctions. October 20th, 1935, Mao Zedong finally arrives in Yan'an with less than 1/10 of the 90,000 or so soldiers he started with over a year ago in Jiangxi. Yet his position in the party is stronger than ever. This actually makes sense, since anyone who disagreed with him probably gave up or died somewhere along the way. 1967, Roger Patterson and Robert Gimlin film Bigfoot, but no one believes them, even after Patterson swears on his deathbed that the thing is real. Admittedly, if you're pulling a hoax, the whole idea is to lie as consistently and sincerely as possible. 1973, turns out the Sydney Opera House wasn't always there. Who knew? October 21st, 1854, Florence Nightingale and her crack team of 38 British nurses leave for Turkey, intent on improving conditions in the hospital at Scutari. They end up having to wait until the Sanitary Commission arrives, but this somehow worsens the story. 1944, Japan pulls its desperation move. Incidentally, this ship ties with a certain American ship for the record of most hits by kamikazes. Today is both Apple Day in the UK, a holiday inexplicably not observed in Michigan, and International Day of the Nacho, a holiday that by definition is. October 22nd, 1797, Andrew-Jacques Garnerin makes the world's first frameless parachute jump 1,000 meters above Paris, but does so without skydiving, which feels like cheating. 1895, exactly one interesting thing happened at the Gare Montparnasse. This is it. Probably the only instance of someone ramping a locomotive off a train station and living to be fined 50 francs and spend 2 months in prison telling the tale. Actually, no one on board the train was killed. October 23rd, 424, Valentinian III becomes Emperor of the West at the tender age of 6. But don't fret, Isis is on the way. Actually do fret, because so is Attila. 1958, a Belgian comic series introduces the Smurfs. Your call on whether this is as relevant as the Huns.